Hey YouTube, it's EvanMagician34, and this is part of my new little casual series I'm planning to do. I'm gonna one by one feature each of the Earthbound Immortal monsters. They're really popular, they're from the TV show, and I thought each one of them is so unique and has a lot of potential that they really deserve their own decks. Plus it's a good deck building challenge, so why not, right? And I'm gonna do them in color order, which means the first one is gonna be, you guessed it, Earthbound Immortal Uru. Unlike a lot of the feature decks I do, some of these I'm actually going to only include one copy. Actually, I think this is the only deck that's going to follow that rule. But Earthbound Immortal Uru, for the way I'm going to be building around him, you really only need one copy. It's basically a plant build taking advantage of the fact that Gigaplant can reanimate not just plants but insects from the grave. The idea is going to be to bring Uru back from the grave via Gigaplant. And the fact that both of those guys, as well as Titanial and a few other cards, really like Mausoleum of the Emperor, which is going to be our field spell choice for this guy too. So, anyway, that all said, first card in the deck, Earthbound Immortal Uru. 3,000 point guy, he can attack directly and he can steal monsters once per turn. Nothing not to like about that, he just needs a field spell. We're running 2 Lone Fire Blossoms, obviously, good plant support there. 3 copies of one of our feature pieces, what makes Uru so playable at 1. Gigaplant times 3. And you don't have to wait to tribute him when you've got Mausoleum. Just pay 1,000. Titanial, good beat stick, good search with Lone Fire, but she's not a bad top deck since you're actually running Mausoleum, so nice to have that. 1 copy of Dandelion, of course. 1 copy of Glow Up Bulb. Great tribute material if you need, but it's also, of course, good synchro fodder. Spore. Part of the awesome plant engine. Nettles. Ordinarily my 2-star plant tuner of choice would be Cherry and Mado, but because we're only running the 1, the search ability of Cherry and Mado doesn't really matter. Ergo, the better stats of Nettles win out. We're also running 1 copy of Lord Poison. He reanimates Gigaplant. He's a good thing to bring back with Gigaplant. He can even bring back Titanial. Just a good all-around card. Great set, too. His ability to work in the damage step gets around things like Royal Oppression. 3 copies of Raikou Lightsworn Hunter. Lots of things you want to dump into the grave in this deck. Glow Up, Spore, Uru, even Gigaplant, stuff like that. Lots of good stuff to dump. Dandy, obviously. So, pretty standard, plus he pops stuff with his effect. Very good. 2 copies of Debris Dragon, good sinking. Helps keep the pressure on your opponent. Helps you re-abuse Dandelion. Sangan searches for all those goodies you want to play. Another good tribute monster, Light and Darkness Dragon, enough said. We're just running the 1 because he's not really the focus, but he's good to have around. We're also running 1 copy of Gores. In case your opponent clears your field, which can happen if they blow up your field spell or something like that, he's a good surprise. Monster Reborn. Foolish Burial, pretty important one there. Charge, more milling, and it helps search out those Raikous. Keeps your deck running. Dark Hole. Giant Trunade. 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon, good feature in this format. 3 copies of your field spell of choice for this Earthbound Immortal deck, Mausoleum of the Emperor. It does help both players, so you don't want to play it until you're actually going to be using it directly. In other words, don't drop it and then wait a couple of turns for something else to show up. Keep it in your hand, because it does help both players, like I say. Plus, there's no reason to give them a chance to blow it away before you get to use it. But pay 1,000 to replace tributes, and you still normal summon them, but it's not technically a tribute summon anymore. Yeah, it's a little complicated. But suffice it to say, this is how you get Uru out. That's how you keep him out. We're running just 1 copy of Terraforming. Even if you've already got Mausoleum in your hand, always play Terraforming as soon as you get it to get that other copy of Mausoleum out of your deck. That way you don't top deck it and then either make your Terraforming worthless or you still screwed yourself out of another card you could have drawn in its place potentially. So, just 1 Terraforming, so you're essentially running 4 copies of Mausoleum. We are running 1 copy of Pot of Avarice. A lot of things in our grave we want to see stay in our grave, so we don't necessarily want to cycle them back into our deck. That's why we're only running 1 copy of Pot of Avarice. But it's still some good draw power, and we do load a lot of things into our grave, and some of them, like Light and Darkness Dragon, we don't mind cycling back. So, that's why we do have Pot of Avarice. We're running just 2 copies of Supervise, just enough to make Gigaplant happy. Plus, if you supervise that Gigaplant and then feed it to Earthbound Immortal Uru, that can be a great way to bring your Gigaplant back as a beat stick, and essentially avoid paying the cost of Uru, more or less. 1 copy of Book of Moon. Good controlling spell. Speaking of control, Solemn Judgment, Call of the Haunted. Another way you can bring back Uru, keep in mind. There's no restriction on how you can special him into play, of course. Torrential Tribute. And last but not least, 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole. Pretty much standard equipment. And your extra deck is going to be Mistworm, Stardust Dragon, Scrap Dragon, Red Dragon Archfiend, Blackbird Drago. This is a great thing to sync for in this deck, obviously. He's a dragon, so you can easily get him with, say, like a Dandy token, plus Lone Fire, plus the Debris Dragon that you use to bring back the Lone Fire, something like that. And then he gets you back a Gigaplant when he dies, plus he's 3,000 point beat stick. All good there. Colossal Fighter. Thought Ruler Archfiend, still a good card. We're running 2 copies of Black Rose Dragon. Bryanak, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Iron Chain Dragon, of course, because we do have Debris Dragon in here. Magical Android. Good against dark opponents, and good against everything else is Ally of Justice Catastor. Armory Arm, mostly as a platform to sync into something else, but he is occasionally quite useful in his own right. And 1 copy of Formula Synchron, because we can theoretically sync via like Glow Up and a Dandy token or something like that. So it's good to have him as an option. He's a nice little synchro monster, and drawing the card is never something to be ignored. So, that's the Earthbound Immortal Uru deck. And essentially Uru plants, as I'm calling it. And until next time, rate, comment, subscribe, and enjoy. And if you haven't seen it yet, check out my channel. There's a lot of cool stuff on there and other videos. So, thanks, and peace.